Hello, hello. My name is Dirk Schober. I want to talk to you today about the Tableau platform and about Tableau MCP. So the Tableau platform is composed of especially a tool layer that was famously known for a number of years with Tableau Desktop to be very easy drag and drop. But of course, over the years, we developed more tools to access the platform, and especially we extended the platform in that direction that we have now what we call the knowledge engine and the decision engine. So the one is more or less, the data and the semantics around that. And the other part is getting the insights and taking actions out of that. So that's, of course, a complete different story. But the main thing here is maybe that line beneath that, like having a secure and governed platform, a platform that is composable and that is extensible. So how do we extend that in a direction in terms of AI? So especially many customers currently ask us about how to use AI outside of the Tableau platform. And of course, this is something that should be discussed very eagerly before deciding anything. And here's some help for that decision. Well, one thing is for that extension, we have, of course, Tableau MCP. MCP, Model Context Protocol, is something that more or less connects the Tableau platform, and not only the Tableau platform, it's not a standard from us. It's an open standard, but it can connect an API-driven platform like Tableau. Tableau has many APIs, many connectivity to the outside world, always had. And that way it was easy to build something like Tableau MCP that connects that to agentic tools. So this, of course, empowers AI agents outside of Tableau to do complex analytical tasks, but just get the data from Tableau and get accurate, answered, grounded in trusted semantics. And this is maybe exactly the point that we want to discuss today. So first of all, how does that look in terms of if you set it up in a larger context? Originally, if you would think that you are using maybe a tool like Claude, then you would use like to access data from Tableau, and you can do that via an API. That's called SQL Data Services. You don't need to know that because the MCP server knows that. The Tableau MCP server knows that, how to do that. So Claude, the AI tool, can ask the MCP server, hey, what can you do on the Tableau platform? And it says, well, I can, for example, deliver you that data. And then Claude says, okay, do that, deliver me the data. So the governed data comes back to the MCP server, and that one delivers that to Claude in this case. Okay, that's a Claude use case. In a larger context, of course, we have a number of agents here, different systems, different connectivities, and so on. So that could be outside agents, could be also agent force, right? Salesforce agent force. I will come to the architecture patterns later on in this presentation. And we can connect several MCP servers. So one example could be you have retail data down here, and you have an MCP server that delivers weather data outside of the Tableau platform. And the agent just connects everything and sets it into context. So that would be a use case for that. But let's start over again with one big question that appears here. Tableau MCP sounds great. It's an open standard. We can connect our platform to the outside world of agents. But why? If Claude is directly connecting here, so I can connect that directly to my data, why should I not take Claude and let that be the hero and just skip Tableau at all? And here's the thing why you shouldn't do that. So let's start very easy with Claude. If you don't know Claude, that's a desktop AI tool, which is very famous currently. I have started that in an incognito chat. That means it doesn't relate back to other conversations that I had before, which is a good thing because, of course, I tried this exact demo before several times. So let's start with something very easy. And I ask Claude, what possibilities does it even have with Tableau in the beginning? So the prompt is I'm just asking for the functionality that is there, and also at the same time I'm asking for a certain data source on that Tableau platform. So Tableau KN means that's one special connection that I have configured here. That's nothing too special. It's just to distinguish two different connections that I have on my machine. So it lists the data sources, and if you look at the results, you will find for all these results that you have a technical thing, of course, going on in the background. That is translated by Claude into something readable for me. So here are the functions that are available. I can list data sources, I can get data, I can get views, and so on. So everything that you see currently is mainly query driven. So I can get things, but I cannot push things to the platform. Right? Here's data about the sales PDS data source. It's in the default project. It has that name and a logical ID. Now I could pull some metadata. So I ask about the metadata of that data source, and also ask about, hey, give me the purpose of that data source. So something like a description that Claude assumes, so we can bring in some of the magic that it does. So it's a sales performance and pipeline tracking data source, almost certainly fed from CRM like Salesforce. That's true. So here's about the structure. It has some metrics. It has commit forecast and pipeline and attrition, and it has some organizational slicing. That's quite a good summary here. And it's even building for me a quick overview in a kind of graphical way. Very neat. So that's quite good, and it shows the power of Claude. And here comes the big question again. If Claude is really the hero in that game and can access the data in an easy way, could it also build a complete dashboard for me? And how would that look like? Let's look into that. So here's an example. These CSV files I have here on my computer might have been drawn from an operational system like Salesforce in this case, or could also be SAP in many cases. And some people even drag CSV files, of course, directly from analytical systems because they do not know how to handle that, but that's a different thing. Here could be a prompt from a business user. So let me maybe first of all execute that before we discuss what it does. So that prompt could be something that I noted like this in my notepad, and I'm telling Claude that I'm prepping a board meeting, and more or less it says, hey, please take these CSVs that you have and put them into a dashboard, and it should have decent company management color, and it focuses on certain metrics here that I want to get covered. Please be specific, and I'll put that as a clean executive summary. Okay, so Claude is working here. And for example, it's executing a complete script here, which is accessing the CSV files actually, and getting an overview about the different files and calculating the metrics and running the commands. It can do all that. And I will leave you alone for a moment and fast forward to the point where it finishes. At this point, you can see that it's building an HTML dashboard for me in the background. And for that, it's creating a complete script that then, or it creates in this case, an HTML file, which is, if you look at that more deeper, you will find that it's not reusable at all. So it's a one-time thing, an HTML file that is not connected like a Tableau workbook that's connected to the data and refreshes every time. You have to essentially build the complete dashboard again if you are in next week, next month, and so on. So there's no certainty that it will look exactly the same each week, each month, every time that you produce your dashboard. Okay, let's inspect the results. And later on, of course, we will have a focus on the numbers. Here we see that we get a table, an overview table. We get the 5 hero accounts, bottom laggers, and we get regional takes. So this is more or less my executive summary on the left-hand side. I understand it that way. And on the right-hand side, I get that HTML file, which I can take and maybe just forward to someone. That's a way I could share that. And it even contains something like a mouse over effect, but of course there's no way of marking anything, filtering anything. It even suggests that I have the possibility to click on the different areas here, which are giving an impression of a link, but do not really do that. But in the end, it's a nice dashboard that gives me an overview, has lots of graphics like I asked for. It looks quite good. And here's the executive summary. Why does it have a black background? I'm not sure about that, but it's quite good result. So again, the question is, if Claude is the hero here, why should I not just skip Tableau at all? So now watch this, right? I have some doubts. So I had this prompt telling Claude to create that dashboard. One thing that you have to believe me, and you can try it yourself, do that 10 times, you will get like 5 different results from the way it looks like, and maybe even from the numbers. I didn't completely check that. But of course, before I want to submit this HTML dashboard to my audience, to my management, I'm even not sure how I could do that, but let's put that aside. I would like to check my numbers. Well, I was talking to someone in my organization and they told me that exactly that Salesforce numbers are within that data source that we've been expecting before, that sales PDS, published data source. And why not just ask Claude itself if it can check these numbers for me? So no building of dashboard, in this case, just having a table comparing that. I copied that prompt and will copy it into here. And then just for better view, I will close that dashboard. We don't need that at this point of time. So here it's using Tableau MCP to query the data source directly. Querying the data source means it gets access to all calculated fields that are in that data source, to all descriptions that you have in there, explanations on how something is built, and of course, these different calculated metrics contain also kind of like your business logic. For example, what is in commit seems to be something that you are defining within your organization, and which is not defined by someone like, or by something like Claude. Let's quickly go back to the start, because that's quite a long list. So first of all, Claude knows the methodology that is used here. It knows something like VisQL because it knows how Tableau MCP works. And thus it can define what is the difference between the CSV numbers and the PDS numbers. First, on the closed one ACV, there's difference, maximum difference between the one and the other is like 20%. The root cause for that is, well, the CSV pulled from the opportunity export using close dates. PDS uses metric name ACV, which applies to a different event date filter. So that's something that can happen because within the CSV files, there might be different dates. Which is the correct one for Claude to take in the summary? I could tell it in the context, but then the prompt is getting longer and longer, and I really have to ensure that I have put in there everything that I ever thought of in terms of the business logic. Well, business logic is within the PDS, in the published data source. So why should I give it into a prompt. For Open Pipeline, we have a difference of 30%. Main root cause is the CSV included future quarter close dates opportunity without the data source filter. So we got something into our view that shouldn't be in the current pipeline at all because it's future, and that made the main difference here. For close lost, we have something like 40% difference because we were not knowing that the stage name is kind of interesting here, and we have no record type, which is of course known to the published data source, and so on and so on. So the summary for everything is the forecast commit is something that's completely wrong. That's a short summary. Close lost is inflated by 20 to 40% because we just didn't consider how the published data source, which is our business logic, which we agreed on, is working. The net renewals has a sign flip, right? So we showed negative net renewals. The PDS shows positive. Also here, there's some kind of role definition within the PDS that wasn't considered in the CSV. So summarizing that, I think that Claude might not even be the real hero in that game, especially not for this use case. If you have one CSV file and you want to do a quick analysis, you can do that very quickly, of course. You could do that also very quickly by dragging it into Tableau Public or the Tableau free desktop version and just analyzing it there. You would need to really tell Claude exactly everything in the prompt that you know as details about your data and how it's transformed and how the logic is to do it really in the correct way. This A, consumes more credits, and B, all this is already completely defined, described, and agreed to be correct within your published data source. So why should you change? So here are some things that, of course, bring back the value of Tableau MCP, right? This design pattern that we've just looked at is number one, right? You have something like a full client on your desktop, works easy, doesn't scale at all. What is, of course, very much convenient is putting things into a corporate GPT or into Agentforce. So these are environments that collect a number of MCP-based sources and bring them together in a way that can be governed. That sounds easy, and of course it's also meant to be easy, but be aware of the complexity that maybe come with that from a logical standpoint. It doesn't have anything to do with the tools that you're using there. It's just something, if you want to bring back a good governance and a clear guideline and no hallucination on your numbers, then you still have a quite big IT project to scale. Versus using Tableau Agent, which is the built-in Tableau AI, is a typical buy versus build definition or question. There's no maintenance trap here because we already built it. It's not so as flexible as using number 2 or 3 because you cannot define that yourself. So that's more or less the trade-off that you are going for here, and maybe you even want to mix these different patterns. In summary, let's give Claude again the practical conclusion. These tools aren't really competing. It's kind of the one is good for the one task and the other for the other task. For example, Claude even has a row scale limit of 500,000 rows, which is then a token limit. So what use does it make if our customers typically have data that are more in the petabyte scale, right? So Tableau owns the governed always-on enterprise-wide reporting layer, and Claude is very fast for exploratory, time-pressured file handling, with the task that you still have to be aware of what you're doing as an end user. So that's a very good summary, I think, and thank you very much for your audience.